Okay, welcome. Thanks everybody for coming to our Fulshear Professionals financial panel. We appreciate everybody being here. I want to get started and introduce our panel today. I want to start with Ashley Plant with Bancorp South. Wave, Ashley, so everybody knows who you are. And then I'm Collette Horton with Liberty Star Mortgage. We've got Boyd Handley with the Handley Law Office. And then we have Mark Hippler with Edward Jones. Mark, wave at everybody. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us. We are going to go around and ask questions. If you have questions from that you want to ask anybody in particular, if you'll use your chat button, then it'll pop up on the screen and I'll ask them. And we had people send in some questions also, so we'll be asking them. But I'm going to start and let everybody go around and introduce themselves and tell them, say a little bit about themselves. So Ashley, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm with Bancorp South. I've been with them almost 3 years, and I am a commercial lender. We are a full-service bank, and we offer checking accounts, business checking accounts, business loans, and consumer loans. And right now, we are working on the PPP loans for all of the business owners out there. So welcome, and hope you get some good advice today, or good information.
Okay. I'm Collette Horton with Liberty Star Mortgage. I am a branch of Network Funding. I've been in lending for over 30 years and right here in the Fulshear area for over 20. So I can help you with anything to do with refinancing, purchasing, if you want to take cash out of your home. Okay, Boyd, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Boyd Handley with the Handley office. I'm a solo practitioner in the Katy Fulshear area. My practice centers around probate, wills, trust, guardianship, special needs law, alcohol, SSI, and Medicaid.
Okay, and then Mark.
Yes, ma'am. My name's Mark Hippler. I work with Edward Jones. I've been with the firm for 10 plus years now. I help people with financial planning, estate planning, education planning, and then some insurance needs, life insurance and long-term care insurance.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you, Mark. We had someone send in a question and ask if they should take out cash right now out of their retirement plan. So I'm going to let you start with that.
That's a great question. I would start by saying you never want to sell high and you never want to buy low. So if you're going to take out cash, I think I said that backwards. You'd be selling low, and that's not a good thing to do. Obviously, there's times when we need to access money. I would caution you to review your long-term goals and make sure that you're not going to impact those too severely if you do take money out of your retirement plans. It would probably be better to try to find that money somewhere else before you went to your retirement plan to take money out.
Okay, because the government was saying that right now there's something going on where you can take out money without penalties, or what's happening with that?
Yes, there's there in the new law that came out, or the new stimulus, you can take out up to $100,000 out of a 401k or an IRA if you were impacted by the virus in some way, and then you have a couple of options. They'll waive the 10% penalty. You have 3 years that you can pay the taxes over on that money that you take out, so you can stagger it over 3 years, or you can pay it back into the IRA or the 401k over that 3-year period, so you wouldn't have to pay the taxes on it. It is an option if you are in a position where you need the money to live. It's probably an option that would work. If you're taking it out just to pay off debt, you might want to reconsider that, because that's going to have an impact on your long-term goals, and it's going to push you back 3 years. And I don't think the average person wants to work 3 years longer than they have to retire.
Okay. Ashley, I know a lot of people have questions right now about the PPP loan. Can you explain a little bit about that and who qualifies for that?
Absolutely. So the PPP loan is also known as the Paycheck Protection Program, and the government issued for the SBA to distribute, I think, around $340 billion for small businesses to who are hurting and paying their employees. So basically, it's there to retain and pay your employees. At least 75% of those funds must be used for that, and the remaining can be used for utilities or interest on a mortgage, as well as your rental expense, your lease expense. In order to qualify, you have to be a small business, less than 500 employees. They're also offering at this time to nonprofits such as churches, as well as sole proprietors. So in the past, they've always helped sole proprietors, but at first, they put them kind of on the back burner for this program, to apply later, and now everybody is eligible at this point to apply as long as you have less than 400 employees. I mean 500, excuse me.
Okay. Has anybody received that money?
There are a few, and it's very few. It's more the larger banks that have been able to fund. The mid-size and the smaller banks are still processing and kind of catching up with the SBA. The problems that I think we've encountered is that the SBA has changed their program quite often. And as a matter of fact, we were having to enter in applications with every owner, 5%, even if you have 5% ownership, we were having to enter your information in. A typical SBA loan only requires somebody with 20% or more ownership to be on the loan. And the latest rule was everybody had to be on it. Well, as of yesterday, they decided to keep the 20% rule. So things are changing every day with the SBA, and the bank programs they had to build overnight basically are having to change as well. So some of the funding's getting delayed. That does not mean, though, that you're not going to have your money if you've already processed your PPP loan. If we've processed it and you've received, say, an email stating that you've been approved, but you haven't signed docs nor received your funds, that does not mean you won't. It's actually that you have an SBA loan number and they reserve those funds for you. So don't be discouraged if you haven't received the funds. You will shortly.
Okay. Who should be applying for that?
Basically, any small business, whether you're a sole proprietor, you could be a realtor, you could be a police officer that does extra jobs, you could be a church, you could be a business, you could be LLC, you could be a corporation. As long as you have fewer than 500 employees and you have payroll expenses, you should apply.
Now, we've seen a lot of the big banks say that they're only going to work with the people that currently had an account with them by such and such date. Is that what your bank is doing?
Yeah, so we were doing that originally, and two reasons. One is that you have to have an account for the funds to be deposited into through that institution that you're applying through. The second reason is we wanted our customers to have first dibs at those funds. Since then, though, we've decided that we're going to open it up where if you come and open a checking account, you can then apply for a PPP loan.
Okay. And what kind of information are you looking for? Do they have to have their tax returns done for 2019?
No, if you do, that's wonderful. But if you're a sole proprietor, it's great if you have your 2019 tax return. If not, we're basically looking for your 1099s, maybe a profit and loss statement, and your bank statements. If you're an LLC or a corporation, then we're looking for either your W-3 or your quarterly 941s for all 4 quarters of 2019. Basically that's all you're going to do as well as an application. So you just have to have your payroll information available.
Okay. And then what's the process? What does that look like?
So basically you'll send all of your information with the application to your banker, and they're going to run the numbers, make sure that the loan amount and the average monthly payroll costs are correct on your app. And then what they'll do is they'll enter it into their system and process it forward to the SBA. Once we have an SBA number, at that point you'll receive loan docs to close, and then funding should happen shortly after.
Are you open? Is your bank open?
We are. So we are opening accounts via email, and then having you either come stop in for an appointment to sign your documents, or you can print them out, sign them, and drop them through the drive-through. But our bank is open.
Okay. Can you tell everyone where you're located?
Yes, we are in Fulshear. We have 9 locations in the Houston area. My location is in Fulshear, right at the corner of 1463 and 1093, next to the Shell station.
And the McDonald's.
In the McDonald's, yes. That's probably better. Yes.
It's next to McDonald's. Okay, Boyd, I'm gonna jump over to you really quick. And guys, if you have any questions, if you'll go down to the chat, and I'm gonna pull up the chat really quick and see. Oh, okay, Mark, someone just typed in a question. Mark, if you have a loan on a retirement plan currently, can you take as distribution now and stop making the payments and then have 3 years to pay it back? You want me to read that again? Okay, hang on a second. Oh, wait, go ahead. It says,
I said, were you on the current loan?
if you have a loan on a retirement plan currently, can you take as a distribution now to stop making the payments and then have 3 years to pay it back?
I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm not sure on the answer on that. I'd have to do some research.
Okay. So, so basically, I guess they're wanting to take that loan as a distribution so they can
So it
start.
sounds like they want to take out a loan now to make the loan they already took out go away. And I'm not sure you can do that. So I would have to look into that.
Okay.
And maybe they can type if that's not the question. And they can tell us if there's something else, but that's what it sounds like they're wanting to do.
Do you want to give me a little more on that? See if I'm answering that. Okay, Ashley, I have one for you. How long before this gets paid out? So actually, if someone applies, how long is it before they get paid out?
Well, you're looking at a pretty quick turnaround time. So the actual approval date, approval should take maybe a day to 2 days. And as long as the software that the bank has developed, wherever you're banking, is able to generate documents. I'll tell you real quick, the problem is, for instance, my bank, we had 7,000 applications in the last 60 hours. So with all those applications coming through, DocuSign, our email system has kind of blown up where the emails are kind of getting delayed to getting to our customers. So I would think it'd be a total week to a week and a half turnaround time, depending on your bank and the program they have established.
Okay, so get your application in quickly.
Yes, yes, yes. So as long as, and again, as long as you are approved by the SBA and you don't receive funds within the day or 2 or 3 days, you're okay. Your funds have been reserved. You're going to get them. It's just, again, the servers that the banks are working with are just going crazy right now with emails and trying to keep up with the processing of, thousands of applications.
Okay. Okay. Welcome, Nicole. If you have any questions, just type them into the chat down below and we will get to them. Boyd, we've got one for you. My son will be turning 18 this summer and going to college in the fall. Are there any legal documents that I need for him?
Well, in Texas, when one of our children turns 18, they're an adult. So, if there's some reason like your child goes to college and gets in an accident and you're trying to call the doctor to find out about your son or something of that nature, then you actually need to have a medical power of attorney in order to, or a HIPAA agreement, which is an agreement which allows you to talk to doctors for anyone over the age of 18. So I'm basically telling my clients that if they've got kids in college, go ahead and get a power of attorney, medical power of attorney and HIPAA agreement done for your child, because that will allow you to, if they're getting into an accident in the hospital, they can't pay their bills, that will allow you to talk to the bank if they have a bank account that's not a joint account with you. And also the medical power of attorney will allow you to talk to the doctors to discuss their treatment if they're not able to talk to the doctor. And the HIPAA agreement allows you to get medical information from them. So, you think that once your child turns 18, you can do the same thing you did prior to age 18, but in the laws of Texas, that's not the case. I also say that if you've got parents that are still living and, be sure you have power of attorney, medical power of attorney, HIPAA on your parents, because normally what parents do, they give it to their spouse or vice versa. And if both of the parents become incapacitated, then the children, their children need to be able to help them out. And the only way to do that is with those 3 documents. So that's what I'm telling everyone about that.
Okay. But what about getting a notary signature right now in the COVID times?
Right. Well, there's still a few businesses open, such as Kinko's and some of the mailing businesses that have notaries. But what the governor has signed here a couple of weeks ago allows us to do notary by video. So in my office, I'm actually doing videos with clients that are signing some of their documents. Of course, we can't do a will by video, but a lot of the 3 documents that I mentioned to you, we can do a video notary for those. So that will allow you at least to have those documents in place.
Okay. So we can get things notarized by contacting you and getting it done.
Yeah. We can do a Zoom like this, and I can look at you doing it as long as I have a copy of your identification, and then I will email you the notarized document that goes with it. And that's how we're doing now. There's also a possibility of mobile notaries that you can call up, but I'm not sure how they are doing it, in this current shutdown.
Okay. 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 We've got one speaking with Aaron at the moment. He is saying he just got an email back stating the $10,000 is the max, but they are releasing $1,000 per employee. Okay, I guess that is for Ashley, but Lynn, I'm going to answer that. I know what that's about. Lynn, that's on the SBA loan. That's on the EIDL loan. That's not the PPP that Ashley is doing. And so they did release something today talking about the $10,000 grant. So if anybody on here is self-employed and they applied for the EIDL loan for the $10,000 grant part of that, the SBA came out today and released something saying that they're only going to give $1,000 per employee for how many employees you have. And that's something that they just released today. But that is not what Ashley is doing. There are 2 different things that people can apply for. Ashley is doing the payroll protection. If you're looking for the economic disaster loan, that's going to be directly through the SBA.gov. Ashley, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, really the EIDL loan is another opportunity for you to get assistance with your business to handle other expenses other than your payroll expenses. So if you go to the SBA.gov, you're able to apply directly through them. And again, it's not for payroll. You don't apply for the payroll protection program you can use for payroll, but it is directly through the SBA, and it's really good for possibly like a startup company who doesn't have payroll yet, or a company that's larger than 500 employees. That would be good as well. Even for sole proprietors and small businesses. Again, though, if you apply for the PPP loan and you do get the EIDL loan, you don't want to use it for payroll. You want to use it for other operating expenses.
Because you can't double dip. So you can't use the money for the same thing. You have to be careful on that. Okay, so we have one here. It says, I have applied for the SBA grant and the PPP and haven't heard anything. It's been close to 2 weeks. Ashley, you want to take that?
Yes, the EIDL loan, I'm not as familiar with their process. Again, that's directly through the SBA. So I think a lot of people are in the same boat as you. And with the PPP loan, I don't know if you did it through a bank, I would definitely contact your banker and ask them if the application has been denied or maybe returned for lack of information needed. There's a lot of reasons. It could be maybe in the holding pattern. I know that at first churches were getting denied only because the SBA has never allowed nonprofits. So they had to go in and fix their system. Some of the sole proprietors were getting denied because of information which they clearly had provided. It just was something they weren't weren't sure how, the SBA was not sure at that time how they were going to process sole proprietors. So depending on what type of company you have, or depending what bank you went through, and again, our systems are all being created on a fly. So it could be something with their system that they're having to navigate through to get it to process. But I would definitely contact where you applied and ask them, what's going on with your application.
Eric, I'm going to also address that. I found something. It's called SBAloanstatus.com. SBAloanstatus.com. That is a paid for website. Do not apply for their membership. If you go in, if you have that number that you got at the end of the EIDL loan application, you can put that in and register, and you can get the information for free without putting in your credit card. Once you register, then you can go in and check the status of where you are. I checked mine today. I'm like 594,000 people in front of me. So you can check in on that. Okay, Mark, we have one for you. How do I take advantage of this market?
Great question. All right, so right now you want to take a look at the opportunities that are out there. You want to focus on stocks that are quality, and you should focus on stocks that weren't impacted or were only impacted by the coronavirus. They weren't already in dire straits before the virus. So if you do those things, then you just try to dollar cost average in if you have cash on the sideline. If not, then you want to consider rebalancing some of your current investments into some higher quality investments moving forward. It's also a great time as the market's low to move some of your fixed income investments over into equities as the market's going to start to rise as it comes out of this.
Okay.
So those ways you can take advantage of the opportunity.
Okay. There was one for me that was asking how to take money out of your house. There's two different ways to do that. One is going to be through me if you're going to refinance with a first lien, and that's doing a refinance on your mortgage. You can take up to 80% of your home's value and we'll refinance the mortgage. We can give you the money for any reason. And then also, Ashley, are you doing home equity lines of credit?
All right, I was muting. Our bank does do them. I don't do them, but I have somebody in our bank that could handle those.
Okay, so there's two different ways to take equity out of your home. You can either refinance the entire mortgage with me. And so we would look at that. I would look at your current mortgage and look at your interest rate. So if you had an interest rate in the 5s, it would be a great idea to refinance your mortgage, the whole thing, and give you a lower interest rate, take equity out. If you had an interest rate in the low 3s, I would tell you most likely to leave that alone and then to do a second lien, a home equity line of credit with Ashley. So those are a case-by-case basis. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Mortgages are never one-size-fits-all. So we would look at that on a case-by-case basis and then see how best fit. Okay, Mark, somebody wants to know how long this will last. So I don't know if you can answer that.
Yeah, we don't have a crystal ball, but we do believe that the shutdown was a self-imposed versus an actual structural weakness in the market. So with that said, that we believe that once we get better news on the virus being controlled and the economy opening back up, that the ride out will come a lot faster than what an average rebound would. So.
Okay, well, someone does something very similar to mine. Should I take cash out to pay off a mortgage or other debt? So should they take cash out of their retirement?
Typically, it's never a good idea to take money out of your retirement to pay off debt. We get asked that question a lot, not just during times like this, but also when people are approaching retirement. They want to take out money out of their 401k or their IRA to pay off their loan on their house instead of using that money for their long-term goal, which is to fund their retirement. So sometimes it's hard to convince people not to do that, but it typically does not make sense to take money out to pay off debt. Living expenses is one thing, but paying off debt is a totally different thing.
Okay. Okay, Boyd, somebody doesn't have a will. Can you explain why that's important during a time like this?
Well, the main thing about a will is how you want your property distributed, because if you die without a will, then the state of Texas has some crazy rules on how to divide your property up. And one thing I tell my clients, especially if you have a blended family, and the definition of a blended family is you've got kids from a previous marriage along with current kids or whatever with your marriage, or if your spouse has kids from a previous marriage, then if you die without a will, then the state is going to divide it up very strangely between your kids, and your spouse will probably get about 1/3 of everything. And so it's really important to have it all divided out the way you want it divided. We're also a community property state. So what that means is that all the property that you acquired during your marriage is split 50-50 between you and your spouse or significant partner. And then any property that you've brought in prior to the marriage or that you've inherited during marriage is personal property. So if you don't have a will saying how some of that's going to be divided, and if you wanted your spouse to get some of your personal property, that's not going to happen. Also, the thing about wills, if you have any minor children, which will be under the age of 18, if you don't tell in your will who you want the guardian to be, if something happens to both the biological parents, then the state is going to first go to the grandparents and then go to the next in line kids, brothers or sisters. And it may be where those are great family members, but they're not the right ones to take care of your children. So that's the main thing about wills. Unfortunately, in the state of Texas, you need, for a normal will, you need 2 witnesses. And with our stay-at-home order, that's becoming very difficult to take care of. So I'm actually telling a lot of my clients is let's do a holographic will, which is a will in your own handwriting signed by you until we have this lift order up, and then we can do your normal will. A lot of that, I've drafted the wills, and the clients are holding their wills until that order is lifted. But in the meantime, they've done holographic wills, which are valid, but are not great. But it works in this environment.
Okay. Okay, Mark, I've got one for you. When should someone add money? Should they be adding money right now to the market?
Yes, it's a great time to add money, and if you're conservative, the best way to do that is to dollar cost average in. So start putting money in on a monthly basis or even a weekly basis, and just ease money into the market that way. If you have some tactical moves you want to make in your portfolio, you want to add some high quality stocks that maybe you didn't hold, or you want to add to some high quality stocks you already hold, those buys would make sense as well. You definitely want to get your money to work. Obviously we don't know if we're at bottom yet, so that's why I recommend that you dollar cost average in at this point. Okay.
So that would be a great thing to talk to you about one-on-one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that all of our questions? It looks like that's the questions that I had sent in. Does anybody else have any questions for our panel? If not, I'm going to let everybody give their contact information. Let's see. Okay, Boyd, can you explain a medical power of attorney?
Okay, I'll also have a private question that someone sent me. I'll just answer that in general. It's basically a question that if you're on disability SSI, can I have an IRA? Well, the disability SSI is not a mean tested government benefit, so it really doesn't make any difference with how many assets you have, because in order to get disability SSI, you put in 40 quarters of work. If you're getting normal SSI, which is a mean tested government benefit, then you're only allowed to have $2,000 in assets. So you're going to run into trouble about if you have an IRA that's not in, say, a special needs trust with that, because the special needs trust allows someone to have more than the $2,000 in assets if they're over SSI. The other question that I see is, what is a medical power of attorney in HIPAA? The medical power of attorney, I think I mentioned earlier, but it is a document that allows you to make medical decisions on behalf of your loved one, or at least converse with the attorney or with the physician if your loved one becomes incapacitated. There's two ways to do that. You can have the medical power of attorney springing into action if your loved one become incapacitated or cannot make decisions on his or her own, or you can have the medical power of attorney spring into action once you sign it. I think the one that I've done with Carrie, it's automatic, so I don't have to actually be incapacitated. But a lot of people, wants to keep their self and make their own decisions. So if they do become incapacitated, we can have wording in that. But that will allow you to talk to the doctors about your loved one, even though he or she may be your spouse or your child over the age of 18. According to Texas law, the doctor cannot talk to you unless you have the medical power of attorney. The HIPAA agreement is an agreement that allows you to call the doctor up and get a doctor's report from a loved one, or ask the doctor questions about the report or the condition of the loved one. It does not allow you to make a decision on their medical treatment, but it allows you to get the information from them. And in a lot of cases, those HIPAA agreements have, quite a few people on them, because they're not making medical decisions on you, but just getting information. And according to Texas law, unless you have those agreements, the doctor can get into a lot of trouble by talking to you if you're not listed on those agreements.
Okay. We've got one question. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Sonobar? Yeah.
Okay. And I do, Mr. Boyd was my lawyer for my special needs trust that I have. How do I put my IRA into my special needs trust? How do I do that?
Well, unfortunately, it will be very hard, because you have two sorts of special needs trust. You have a third-party special needs trust, which is assets that are put in by third parties that are not yours. If you have a IRA under your name currently, or anyone that's under SSI that has assets to the side, then you either have to spin that IRA down, or hopefully be able to put into a first party special needs trust, which may be difficult. I don't know all the information about it. But a first party special needs trust are assets from the individual on disability. Normally those assets are assets that came in from a court settlement, or from inheritance from someone that you didn't know was giving you money. So I really can't answer that question with IRA unless I know more information, but it may be very difficult if it's already set up under your name.
Okay. Well, we'll get you two in contact. So we're going to go around and let everybody give their contact information. Are there any more questions anyone wants to type in? Has anybody got anything else? Ashley, if you'll go ahead and give your contact information and where you're located.
Absolutely. It's Ashley Plant, and my work office number is 281-944-2048, and I'm located at 27200 FM 1093. That's in Fulshear. Again, I'm right at the corner of 1463 and 1093 by the McDonald's.
You can get gas, you can get McDonald's, and then you can go see Ashley.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm Collette Horton with Liberty Star Mortgage. I have an office in Fulshear and an office in Katy. 281-830-8888. I can help you with purchase, refinance, primary residence, investment property, whatever you're looking for in the mortgage world. Okay, we're going to go with Boyd. Can you give your information, please?
Yes, Boyd Handley of the Handley Law Office. My office is in the Katy Fulshear area. Again, I do probate, estate planning, wills, trust, guardianships, elder law, and SSI and Medicaid. I can be reached at 281-703-3616. My email is boyd, B-O-Y-D, @thehandleylawoffice.com. I'm currently doing video conferences with clients or talking to you on the phone. And once this stay-at-home order releases, then I can start seeing everyone in person. Thank you.
And then Mark Hippler. Oh, hang on, Mark. I had some feedback on your mic, so I had to turn you off. Okay, there you go.
Mark Hippler with Edward Jones. I'm located at 8525 FM 359 Road South, which is downtown Fulshear. I share the parking lot with Victor's. And my phone number is 281-533-9746. And if you want to email me, it's mark.hippler@edwardjones.com. I'd be glad to forward you what we have on the CARES Act so you can look over. For that one person who had the question, I could not find anything on it, but you can look through the email and it tells you what's available with the CARES Act on your distributions.
And you can all see he couldn't wait until this was over. You all saw him roll back there and start working on it. He can't stand it. That's how hard he works. He immediately starts working on stuff. We could all
I'll get to it.
He can't stand not having the answer. He immediately started researching it as soon as he didn't know the answer to that question. Okay, I'm going to invite everybody back at 4 o'clock. We have our marketing services panel. And then next week, we have our services panel at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, and then our things to review panel at 4 o'clock. On Thursday, we have our health and at 3 o'clock and our outdoor home services at 4. On April 23rd, we have real estate at 3 and insurance at 4. So if anybody wants to join us again, if you go to the Fulshear Professionals Facebook page, all of the Zoom codes are there. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I appreciate you being here. Last chance, any final questions? If not, thank you for visiting us. Fulshear Professionals, thank you.
Thanks, guys.